Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Jesus was driving out a demon that was mute. And when the demon had gone out, the mute man spoke, and the crowds were amazed. Some of them said, "By the power of Beelzebul, the prince of demons, he drives out demons." Others, to test him, asked him for a sign from heaven. But he knew their thoughts and said to them, "Every kingdom divided against itself will be laid waste, and a house will fall against house. And if Satan is divided against himself, how will his kingdom stand? For you say that it is by Beelzebul that I drive out demons. If then I drive out demons by Beelzebul, by whom do your people drive them out? Therefore, they will be your judges. But if it is by the finger of God that I drive out demons, then the kingdom of God has come upon you. When a strong man fully armed guards his palace, his possessions are safe. But when one stronger than he attacks and overcomes him, he takes away the armor on which he relied and distributes the spoils. Whoever is not with me is against me, and whoever does not gather with me scatters. The Gospel of the Lord. This morning I was thinking about my mother. It was her birthday yesterday, and she would be 84 if she was still alive. And I was thinking about, for a time in my life, the tumultuous relationship I had with her. And as I got a little older and got to know her better, I began to see a woman of great wisdom and who had gone through a lot for the sake of our family, and appreciated that although sometimes I thought she was too strict, she was always looking out for what was good in my life. And her and my dad were doing everything they could, and it was a hard job to try to get me to heaven. I guess I was so bad off, they prayed me into the priesthood because they figured there was no other way I would get through. Nevertheless, Jesus' words seem very strong here. Whoever is not with me is against me, and whoever does not gather with me scatters. Wow. This is a stark statement. It's almost black and white. Jesus is saying, you're either in or you're not. And where are you? And yet, the spiritual life is actually a growing in the experience of learning to love and trust the Lord more and more. And what you see in the book of the prophet Jeremiah reveals God as a loving father who's doing everything he can to take care of his children, but they keep saying, sorry, I'm not interested. And yet he continues to reach out to them. And they're so despondent to the point where Jeremiah finishes this little section by saying, faithfulness has disappeared. The word itself is banished from their speech. Wow, that's pretty bad. In the beginning of the passage, he says, this is what I command my people. Listen to my voice, and I will be your God, and you shall be my people. Now, you can either read that as a very severe God saying, you better listen to me or else. Or you can hear a loving Father saying, I know a little bit more than you guys do. And if you listen to me, your life is going to be much better. But we tend to act like infants often. And growing in the spiritual life is growing in the trust of the Father and putting aside our infantile image of who He is and seeing the loving and merciful Father who wants to embrace us and bring us into His own. And when we get to the gospel and Jesus says, whoever is not with me is against me, and whoever does not gather with me scatters, we need to put this in the context, okay? Jesus has revealed Himself as the one who conquers demons. In other words, there is no spiritual or physical power that can stand up to Him. And He's saying here, when a strong man fully armed guards his palace, his possessions are safe. Jesus is saying that He is willing to stand between us and all that threatens the domain of our heart, our palace. He's willing to do that, even to go that far on the cross. He's willing to do that and to stand for us against all attackers, and yet we choose other loyalties. It makes no sense. And so He says to His disciples, whoever's not with me is against me. And if that's going to be the way it is, you're on your own. I can't help you because you pushed me out. And so He invites His disciples to draw near, to be the strong man. In an interesting analogy, when I was meditating on this and thinking about my mother, I was recalling a scene that actually happened in my childhood that reminded me of this line. When the strong man, fully armed, guards his palace, the possessions are safe. I had got into a scuffle with a local bully 2 blocks away with his 5 friends. I'm not bragging, but I did take him to the cleaners. But I had to pick up my feet because his 5 friends were more formidable. And I was running for my life. I ran into the backyard from the street, into the driveway, not looking back. And all of a sudden I looked behind me, and the guys that were chasing me, it was like there was a force field across the driveway. They had all stopped dead. And I looked on the porch, and there was my mother, standing there, broom in hand, hand on her hip. I get it, Mom. When the strong man fully armed guards his palace, his possessions are safe. So we invite Jesus into the palace of our heart and make Him our King, and we're safe.
Regina Celi, letare, alleluia, qui aquam meruisti portare, alleluia, resurrexit sicut dixit, alleluia, ora pro nobis Deum, alleluia.